Hi, I'm Bethany Joy. I'm the owner of Bethany J Photography and a visual designer. Welcome to the Creativity Cure. This is a podcast where I encourage women to cultivate the skill of creativity. What I do is I share skills that I've learned as an artist and designer, and these skills or principles are applicable to everyday life. These skills are applicable whether it's for your job, your business, your dream, I don't know, your friendships, your relationships, yourself. So these are all skills that I've been taught as an artist, and I think that they're really helpful. So far, we have talked about two of the three values that I have as the pillars of my business. The first one was celebrating originality, which is already up. The second one is crafting with quality. And now I'm going to talk about connected to community. That's the third pillar of my business. Before I get started, I just want to let you know that this is on YouTube. You can watch it. And this podcast is also on Apple, it's on Google Podcasts. It is available pretty much anywhere. And if you don't see it, please visit BethanyJphotography.com. Send me an email and let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Finally, also, if you want to be involved with the creative community all the time, because I only post this podcast every other week, please go to BethanyJphotography.com and subscribe. If you subscribe to the newsletter, you can submit your story or your voice recording to be featured on the podcast or in the newsletter. I'm looking for stories about encouragement, creativity. I'm looking for funny things. I just want to share and see if we can build each other up a little bit. I'm also looking to hear about your favorite products. I am a natural girl. I love my shea butters, my oils. I love body care. So I'm always looking for other businesses that are in natural beauty or just unique or creative to share with people, because I would love to put money back into the creative community. Again, that's BethanyJphotography.com. All right, let's talk community. Okay, so I was raised in a lot of little communities that I can see the impact of on my life now. The first one was my family. I have a lot of siblings, and we did everything together. And my sisters are like my best friends. So that was my first little community, right? And then I still have, but I have a very active church community where we were always helping and volunteering and just, spending time serving others. And then I had my art community, and that's kind of the group who grew with me as an artist. And they went with me when I didn't have any real photography skills to when I, started my business. So for me, when I talk about community, so much of what I do now is because of people in my community who reached out, connected with me, took the time, and helped me learn and grow. And so even now, I'm like a Maryland built artist. I went to high school in Maryland. I completed my degree in Maryland. I interned with small businesses and photographers in Maryland. And all of those experiences were invaluable. And so I really want to continue that in my life. And something I'm trying to be more purposeful about is building community, not being a lone wolf. It's really easy to do that, especially in the COVID world. And sometimes you have to be the friend who asks to hang out and gets rejected. Like sometimes you have to be the one to reach out. But that moment or time that you do work out to connect and to grow and to learn and to build community is so worth it. So that's why today I'm talking about community, because it's something that's impacted my life, and I hope to encourage you to seek to build your own community if you felt like you lost touch of yours. So there have been countless pivotal moments in my life where community stepped in to help me. Like I said before, I constantly think of the teachers specifically. I had several teachers, shout out to Parkville High School. I had several teachers who made the absolute world of difference in my life. I look back and I had an awesome photography teacher. I had an awesome fine art teacher. I had just every opportunity. I got to go to an art camp. I remember that. I got to get scholarships, and all of that was because of the teachers in my community who just, I mean, there wasn't a day I couldn't go in their classroom and ask questions or just sit there and just create or take a break. And so many of the friendships I have now are from sitting in that classroom with that teacher and hanging out with my friends. So many of the good memories I have are from my education. And so I'm forever thankful for that. I also think of I also think of the people in my life who gave me my first camera. My first cameras, I'll say, my first couple of cameras were given to me, and I'll never forget, that made the world of difference when I was going to school and I didn't have the money to buy a camera. Someone gave me a camera, and I will never forget that. I just remember the rides that people have given me. Just all those moments, community was there in my artist journey. And even recently in my life, just becoming a mom, but just having my mom and my mother-in-law right after my daughter was born in the house. And there's just something about community. So while community has always been around for me, there have been seasons where my life changed and my community needs changed too. So the friendships I had in high school, even though I still have some of those friendships today, were very much around the activities I did. We hung out all the time because we were always at school or at an event. But as I became an adult, as I graduated school, as I became a mom, the community I needed shifted. Now, I have some amazing friends who have just shifted with all the seasons in my life, but I got to a point where I realized that I had gaps in the community that I had. I really never thought about like what friendship looks like when you have kids. Just that's a big shift to go from kind of being able to go and do whatever you want to really having to consider your kids' needs. That's a big shift. I know for people who are not maybe in the season of having kids, but going just from college to a job was a huge social shift because that structure that your job was based around kind of like because that structure that your college life was based around goes away. And I know that a lot of people experience loneliness after that because they were so used to having people around. So I think that this is a relatable topic that not only do you need community, but you have to recognize you have community needs that shift throughout your life. Now, I want to be transparent. I am not an extrovert. Like, I like being around people, but it takes energy for me to be around people. It takes energy for me to put myself out there or to not overthink if I'm saying the wrong thing. So this isn't necessarily about being extroverted or talking to everybody in the room. Creative people can do work alone. But I just believe that we're best when we're together. And, maybe you don't need a whole gang. Like, you don't need 20 people maybe. But just one person, even one person that you can share your creativity or your life with, that's such a valuable thing to have. So just don't hear me saying you need to be an extrovert or someone that you're not. I'm really just talking about being purposeful about putting yourself out there. And it can be scary, if you have anxiety, it can be scary to maybe be rejected or to feel embarrassed. But I think that community is so important that you do more harm to yourself just isolating. It kind of goes back to feedback, right? We often don't know our impact unless we speak with someone. And now some people, they are confident and they do know exactly how they move through the world. But I don't know. I know a lot of people, and most people I know don't know exactly how they move through the world. So it kind of comes back to you need those people around you who love you and care about you and will tell you the truth. So I got to a point this past year when I realized I needed to actively build my community again. I felt lonely and frustrated and overwhelmed. And it's because there were gaps in the fence of community. And I'm going to kind of try and explain what I mean about that. So I am going to use directions to talk about what I'm going to call the fence of community, right? So I'm going to start here with my left and my right. You can't see me if you're listening, but just, think of the left side of your body and the right side. So when I talk about community, let's talk about first having our peers, right? Those are the people at our left and our right side, the people who are with you, right? They're in the same pace of your life. These are the people who you might work with. You're just in the same arena of life. They might be people who are also just having kids. They might be people who are also single right now. They're going through life with you. So I like to have friends who are kind of in two categories. And again, it's not like you always pick these, but it's something you can seek out. I don't see why not. But I like to have friends, some of who are maybe a bit better than me in some areas. And then I like to have friends who I can share something of me with. So I have friends, sometimes they're older than me. And so I'm often watching them. I'm watching how they take care of their household because that's a really relevant thing for me. I often follow people on Instagram and I'm watching how they handle things. So that left and right of your fence is your friends and your peers. And it's important to have people who you can bounce ideas off of, who you can learn off of, you can have fun with, who you can just do life with, and you're just there to support each other. So when I was saying that I had a time where I was feeling lonely and frustrated, this time wasn't necessarily that I didn't have any friends, but it was that, I was looking at what I'm going to keep talking about, this fence of community, and realizing there were gaps. So when I looked to my left and my right, I had friends who were sort of my peers, who were in the same zone as me. And so it's like, okay, I'm good there. I've got friends who are doing life with me, but I know there are people who I can call on who are in the same zone as I am right now. So next, if you're thinking of a fence, we've got our left and right. Now let's look in front of us. So in front of me, I like to think of community or friends or people who I am serving. And for me, that is people who I don't necessarily benefit from in a sense. It's not that you can't learn or benefit from your children, but at the younger age, really, you're just serving them. You're taking care of them. You're just loving them. And I think throughout your life, it's good to always be aware, like, am I just doing something just to be a blessing, just to be kind? I think that there's so much I learn when I just take time to do something and my thoughts are not really like, okay, how can this help me? I don't know. It's just, I think it's important just to be generous and just to give of yourself and find somewhere you can do something for someone else. It will bless you. Like, it really will bless you, but it's something that you might have to purposely go look for. You may realize, like, oh, I'm not actually serving somebody or sharing with somebody. And so there are so many different ways in life you can look around, and sometimes it's literally going out and serving people who maybe have fallen on tough times. Sometimes it's as simple as making the time to go help someone clean their room or something like that. You're just doing something to be of help to somebody. And I think for me, it reminds me that, I'm not like, for me, it builds confidence in my ability to see myself support someone else. And also it, helps me to remember that the world is not always as small as my problems. And I think, especially when I get caught in like an anxiety loop, just sometimes stepping outside of my world and just how can I help them or do something for them is like a breath of fresh air. So, when I've got my fence of community, I look at my left and my right and I look in front of me and I want to see that I am also serving in some way, shape, or form someone. And again, that changes through life. But I'm trying to, think of a fence. I'm trying to make sure I keep this fence closed around me. So then behind me, the final one, right? Those are the people who have been there and done that. So for me, when I was going through this period of time where I was really like lonely and frustrated and like feeling kind of stuck, I realized that one of the things I was missing is that I didn't really have people who had been there and done that. And so for me, that's where the gap in the fence was. I needed to turn around and just chill and hang out with people who were experienced. So just like you get confidence from helping somebody, serving somebody, I think there's also like a comfort about watching somebody who's already been there handle so much more than you probably can. Um, and seeing like, oh, they handle it, like, and learning how they do that. So the other part of community that I'm thinking of is reaching out to somebody who you maybe don't really have anything to give but your time, and giving them that time and listening to them and understanding where they came from and how they got there. And sometimes you just pick up so much stuff when you hang around people who have worked hard at something and accomplished a lot of things. And it's funny because oftentimes they will not tell you, but if you ask, there are people who will tell you all of the amazing things they've done. They'll tell you how they raised like 5 kids, or how they started their business from scratch, or just there's some really awesome people out there. And so if you maybe are feeling a little lonely, sometimes it's because we have our friends, we have our support on our sides, we have the people that we're serving. But for me, I was missing the people who have been there and done that, and making the time to sit with them and listen to them and just hear them. So that is the fence of community. That's probably a terrible name. So if someone has a way better name, tell me about it. But yeah, so that's just a way to think about community. And as always, I don't want to just say like, oh, hey, go out and make friends. That's not easy. So I'm not saying that this is an easy thing to do. I'm just saying it's a worthwhile thing to do. So let's talk about practical ways to build community. Especially as an adult, it can be hard to find friends and build community. Maybe you moved, maybe you, like me, just had a child, and so you're in a different season than you were. Maybe you just started a new job, so it feels like you're starting over. I think there's a quote, and I don't know if I'm remembering it right, but there's a quote that says, if you want to be a friend, be friendly. And so you just might have to start practicing being the friend that you would like to have. So for me, that meant that with all of the messiness of my life, I invite people over. I don't have it all together. And I used to use that as a reason to not connect with people. But we don't all have it all together. Invite people in your life. Get involved. There are so many ways to get involved. Like I said, serving is a great way to make friends. So if you're like, I'm not really into randomly putting myself out there, it's uncomfortable, find a way to serve people in your community. You'd be surprised the amount of people you meet just going out and just finding a way to help other people. That's a great way to meet people and make friends. I think that another thing you can do is be the asker. I know nobody likes to be the asker. Like, I don't want to be the one to ask to hang out or to get coffee or to talk on the phone. Like, that's so awkward. But just, if you can do it, go ahead and ask. Most people are pleasantly surprised when you ask to hang out with them. So if you can, like, go ahead, ask somebody, say like, hey, could we talk on the phone? And like, as an adult, it might be super awkward. And I keep saying as an adult because even though I'm 25, I still feel like 20 in my head. But as an adult, you might have to actually schedule time with people. You might have to meet at weird times. You might have to go do the thing that someone else loves. When it comes to like, connecting with people who are older than you, you might have to go and do their thing. And you may not completely love it, but you can just take the time and get into their world a little bit. And I promise, like, that's a great way to make friends. So I was listening to a podcast with Crystal Hurst. It's called the Sister Circle Podcast. And it's really just encouraging content. And she did a whole episode on how you can encourage sisterhood. And that one of the things she talked about was just how you find good friends. And one of the things she said is that good friends, they can get together, after months, and it's like nothing happened. They have the freedom to live their lives, but they can still come together and just encourage each other and discuss things. And that is so true. So I think sometimes we have to accept that friendship, relationship, community is not always going to look how it did before. And sometimes we're missing out on the community we have now because we're constantly comparing what we have to what we had in the past. So you might have to just accept the situation you're in life right now. Maybe you're really busy, or maybe you're single, but you might have to accept that, and you might have to just start looking around and saying, okay, I don't have as many friends as I used to, but I have one friend. Can I make time for them? And we need community. We need each other. It's the only way we grow. And so that's what I'm going to leave you with. This is not the neatest, checklist of what to do to find friends, but I think it's a starting place if you can at least just reach out and be friendly. If you can invite someone for coffee, if you can just FaceTime. I mean, FaceTime's a bit bold. I'm gonna take that back. Maybe if you can just text or DM someone and say, hey, would you want to go to an event with me or something like that? Just reach out, put a hand out there, and see if you can't make a friend or build your community. Speaking of community, thank you for listening to episode 3 of the Creativity Cure podcast. I'm so excited to have you on this journey, and I want to speak with you all more than just every other week. And so the way to do that is to subscribe to this podcast / YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Creative Community newsletter, which comes out every week, and you can subscribe by visiting BethanyJphotography.com. You can enter your email and you will begin to get the newsletter. And if you are a part of the creative community, you can submit your stories, your ideas. You can submit your favorite products and put me on to new things. You can share your funny photo of the week. You can share a fun question for everybody, all of that, but it's only if you are subscribed to the newsletter. I also want to let you know that I create one-of-a-kind custom portraits that are amazing. And if you want to see them, follow me everywhere at Bethany J Photography or visit BethanyJphotography.com. I am taking bookings, so if you are looking to celebrate a milestone or achievement and you would love to do a portrait and you're in the DMV area, go ahead and visit BethanyJphotography.com. Thank you for hanging out with me today.